Welcome to another edition of the Baseball Talk Radio Show. I'm Gary Mack, and I'm joined as usual by my good friend and co-host, Mr. Rich Baxter. Rich, how are you after all of this trading deadline hoopla?
Doing great, Gary. Thanks for the introduction. And yeah, we had a wild uh, end to the trading deadline there. A lot of moves done, which was awesome. And really, unlike the several years before this, with the COVID times, where there wasn't too much of this, but this year they made up for it.
Yeah, they certainly did, and some big names went, which is something you don't always see in this midseason type of trade. Juan Soto being the biggest fish out there, got traded to the Padres, and the Padres was certainly busy.
Yeah, the Padres found a pot of money somewhere out there in California. I couldn't believe it. I mean, getting Soto, they have Machado, they have Junior out there. What did they make? A printing press out there on the West Coast?
I don't know. They're still paying off Hosmer too, even though they dumped him to the Red Sox, so they got him off the roster. But they're paying, I think, a chunk of his salary. So I guess they figured they're gonna go for it now. And as you said, they added Soto, they added Josh Bell, which was a big piece for them. They also added Josh Hader, the closer. Interestingly enough, they traded a closer. The two top closers in the National League, they traded for one another. They traded, got uh, uh, Tyler Rogers, I believe his name was, went to Milwaukee, and Milwaukee sent Josh Hader to San Diego. So uh, San Diego was definitely the winner in this trade deadline.
Yeah, they just went out and opened the pocketbook up and, just spent wildly, in my opinion. I'd love to see what they're on the hook for this year's salary. Maybe they moved into first place. I don't know. I really am surprised because for years San Diego was that team that sort of was in Southern California. You didn't hear much from them. They just played along sort of like a Milwaukee Brewers. And all of a sudden now they want to be a major player. And they went out there and really picked the cream of the crop.
Well, they'll have Soto for another year or two. Uh, the question is, will they sign him then? Hader, I'm not sure. I think he may be a free agent at the end of the year, so there's not much money there. Bell is definitely, I know he's a free agent at the end of the year, so again, not too much. But you're right. They took on a lot of salary, and if there's anybody coming back from this group next year, it's going to cost them. But your Phillies made some big moves too. They helped themselves.
Yeah, the Phillies picked up a resurgent David Robertson as the closer. He's 37 years old now. But if Philly fans are watching this right now or listening to us on the podcast, they'll know that Robertson was the same guy that was on our team 2 years ago, and he ended up leaving with Tommy John surgery. He had a couple-year contract with the Phillies, collected some big money, and was injured for most of that. I think he was in 7 games for the Phillies, but he's back. Got his first save last night against the Braves, 3-1 victory for the Phils. They also picked up a starting pitcher I think you know very well, Noah Syndergaard.
Now, what's the deal here? Are they trying to re-put together the 2015 Mets starting rotation? I mean, now you got Zach Wheeler, you got Noah Syndergaard. Who's next? They're going to trade in the offseason for Steven Matz, and
I wish they would.
maybe they're going to go after Jacob DeGrom. He says he's going to opt out of his contract, so who knows? Maybe he'll be with the Phillies next year, and you'll be having all the old Mets out there. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they helped their bullpen. They helped their starting rotation. Um, and the Braves made some moves in the East as well to help their rotation and their bullpen. And their lineup in general. And Mets didn't do a lot. Uh, I was a little disappointed. I thought they would do a little bit more, but I think they had a feeling that they were getting DeGrom back, which is a big upgrade, and they were getting Trevor May back in the bullpen. They did make a trade for Michael Givens, who got hammered last night or yesterday afternoon in his first appearance. And they got Darren Ruff as a right-handed DH, and they also got the couple of last week, I think it was. They got Vogel back from the Pirates, and he's been good. He had a grand slam home yesterday, so I think they filled little slots, but nothing big. But of course, it's always the rumors, and Minnesota did a lot as well, Rich, over in the American League. The Yankees did a lot. They got a Benintendi. They also got a pitcher in there, and the Twins did a lot in the American League. So it should be interesting to see how this all shakes out. Of course, everything was overshadowed by the Soto deal to San Diego, but a lot of teams made moves, and interestingly enough, some teams didn't do a thing. The White Sox, the Guardians didn't do anything, and they're, on the heels of the Twins, you might say. Very strange to see them stand pat.
Yeah, the Houston Astros picked up Trey Mancini, and they upgraded for him. And the top 6 teams or so in the MLB really padded their teams up, getting ready for the playoffs, and we'll see how it shakes out. It's a foot race to the end of the season, in my opinion, right now. All these teams getting the players, will they perform well? Who's going to really get away from the pack, so to speak? We've seen the Yankees with a great season so far, but can they translate that into the postseason? And we'll see who our extra teams are this year. For those playoffs, and the Phillies are fighting to get in. The Mets obviously will be in, and it'll be a great time setting us up for September, the end of September, and then October for the playoffs.
Yeah, certainly, and it should be an interesting playoffs, with all the teams and an extra team in there, so that'll make it interesting. The second half of the season, with as there's going to be battles for that wild card and for the divisions, and of course you want those divisions now. You want to win, especially in the National League, because if you can hold off right now, the San Diego team, I believe, is the number 4 pick, which means it's the first wild card, and you don't want to play them. You don't want to be that third team in the National League and have to play them. So you want to, you want to win your division so you can stay away from them early and hopefully get to them a little later if they progress on. So it's going to be an interesting second half as the season now is really in full swing, and we're past the 100-game mark, and it should be fascinating coming down the stretch.
Yes, it should be. And just a quick local note for Phillies fans out there this weekend. The Alumni Weekend is upon us Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday down at the stadium. A great time to go down there. A lot of players from the 1980 team making an appearance, including Pete Rose. He'll be there on Sunday. And just a great time to head down to the stadium. So if you're a Phillies fan, you're listening to this, I wholeheartedly think you should go to one of these games this weekend. Tonight, for example, you'll get a replica ring from 1980 the World Series championship team. They're going to have some on-field presentations and stuff. So if you're in the area and you happen to be a Phillies fan, check it out, because these moments are one for fans that you'll probably remember for a lifetime, seeing some of these players on the field, getting together, being introduced, having some words said to the fans again after all these years. So check it out. It's going to be a not missed weekend here.
Yeah, and Rich, I see that what you have on the screen now, if you're watching the video on the live stream, or when we release it later as the edited version, Vince Scully, the Dodgers broadcast for 175 years, passed away this week at the age of 94 years old. And 67 years he did the Dodgers in Brooklyn and in New York, in Los Angeles, and an institution in baseball as far as announcing goes. But I guess you'd say an institution for everything in baseball.
Yeah, yeah, an icon is how they're, describing him. And yeah, he was. I mean, over the years, you just got used to listening to Vin Scully. He did the broadcast by himself for the most part. He didn't need anyone else in the booth with him. Did extensive research on players. Always had stories about players, and he could recall them at the snap of a thumb. And it was just a great listen when you listen to a game called by Vin Scully. And yeah, unfortunately, at 94 years of age, he lived a great life, and certainly his career was awesome. As you said, 67 years, which is, indescribable, really.
Mm-hmm.
What a legend. He'll be missed. He's been off the air for a few years now, but I still remember listening to Vin Scully quite a lot, and he was one of those broadcasters which I wish some of these player broadcasters would listen to, because some of them are awful, to be honest with you. Some of the Phillies guys they got in this year on the radio, I can't listen to it. It's not entertaining. They needed to go to the Vin Scully School of Broadcasting, but Vin Scully.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, he'll be missed.
And I think people don't realize too that when he was younger, he did everything. He did golf. I remember him calling, I think, the Masters and football and of course baseball. But he did the World Series as well. He did the network as well as local. Just all over. I think he hosted a game show a couple of times. So he had his hand in everything. And I have to be honest, I was not a big fan of his. I didn't like a lot of the flowery language. But no doubt he was an icon and a terrific announcer, and it didn't match my ear, if I could say that. But it is a shame he's an icon gone now, and I don't know if we're gonna see people like that anymore, because he was really like one of the last connections to the old New York teams, the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants. So he was that bridge back. We all associated him with the L.A. Dodgers because he's been out there for so many, but he got his start with the I think he may have even gotten his start with the Giants and then moved over quickly to the Dodgers and then was there for 67 years. So I mean, it doesn't seem possible, but
no,
there it is.
Yeah. I kind of liked his cadence of a game. He was my kind of broadcaster. Him, John Miller, that sort of. Gary Thorne. They're my favorite. They're my top. Of course, Harry Kalas was when he was with the Phillies. And, these guys are not easily replaced, for sure.
That's right. That's right. And we have a lot of guys now that are schooled in broadcasting, but that doesn't necessarily make you a good broadcaster. It's just that you know the techniques, and it still has to be that, as you say, the stories and the knowledge of the game, and um, otherwise it falls flat. And a good color guy or a bad color guy can hurt an announcer as well.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to keep bringing up the Phillies, but I could in reference to that because I do listen to a lot of games, both on TV and radio. But most of our listeners wouldn't relate to it, so I won't go into it. But yeah, I know and understand what you mean, especially with some of these players that get back into the game and start broadcasting. They're, some of them are not good, and New York, to its credit, really doesn't bring that aspect of broadcasting into their games, which thank goodness.
Yeah,
but for some
well,
reason
look at
around the
Apple.
league,
Apple is terrible.
yeah, yeah,
We've
you don't
we've
like Apple.
God, they were terrible. I thought they were
Yeah,
the worst.
but I'll tell you what, for streaming, they look the best on my television screen.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know how they do it. I guess it's an advanced 1080p 60 frames, I think I was reading, but I swear I'm looking at the game in 4K.
Yeah. No, I do agree there. Even on a computer or something, the technology was there. It's just that the especially the first, Mets were in the first game. And I got to tell you that those announcers were just horrible. It was just a nightmare. It
Yeah,
was like, what am I listening to here? It was the Juan Soto show.
yeah,
They
I remember. I
all they
did
did,
see some of that. I did see
yeah.
some of that.
I think we discussed it here, so I don't want to bring it all
And
back again.
Soto himself was a jerk, asking for
Yeah.
free Apple products for the
Right,
team.
right.
Here's a guy who's
right.
making millions of dollars. Now you want free Apple products? Come on, give me a break. But he
Well,
went
you know,
on
the
and
sad-
on.
The sad part about it is they get the free stuff.
Right.
We don't get it
And
because we're not going to
yeah.
sell it.
we got to pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're getting it free. But yeah, I appreciate their stream of the game. I mean, if any of these
Yes.
local streaming companies can get that good, then it reminds me of years ago, about 20, 25 years ago, when I put a satellite dish up in my house just to get the MLB package, and I had to get like 2 other channels, which was a cheap subscription. But so back then, to get the MLB package, you had very little options, and one of the options was satellite TV. But when I got that put in, the clarity was amazing, and it sort of reminded me of that wow moment of watching on satellite. Now it's even better than satellite, if you could be better. But the stream is amazing. The resolution.
Yeah. Well, we cut the cord this about a month and a half ago, and I do miss the MLB network. Unfortunately, I don't get the MLB network anymore, and they are not with my provider. So if you're listening, get with Hulu so I can
Yeah.
get the MLB network and
Yeah.
get it on the phone and stuff. But
Oh, you have the
I
Hulu
did miss
Live.
it this week. I have the Hulu Live, and it's very good. I have,
Now, if you went
but
with Fubo, you'd be a happy camper.
but the wife may not have been, so
They
we
have
went with Hulu.
MLB. Yeah, you got to make the wife happy. NHL, NBA. But yeah, I understand.
But I do have golf, the Golf Channel, and I do have SNY to get the Mets game. So that's it was a small sacrifice for the MLB network, and I can get MLB TV because I have that package through T-Mobile, as you do, I believe, and so it is what it is. You can't. Everything's not perfect. You try to figure as close as you can, but it doesn't always work out, right?
Yep, that's for sure. But moving on, we'll get some standings results here, and we'll take a look at that before we wrap up for this show. And we're taping it midweek, which is, what we've been doing for the last couple times. But let me cue up my standings real quick. And the Yankees are up to 70 wins all of a sudden, Gary. I don't know if you saw that. That's a huge number at this point.
I try not to see it, but it's there.
I know your affection for the Yankees is, a little low. But why don't you take the American League?
All right, we got as you mentioned, the NL East, the AL East. We have the Yankees at 70-36, and they've got a big 11-game lead. I think they're pretty much a shoe-in. Toronto is in second with 58 wins and 46 losses, followed by Tampa Bay, 55 and 49. Toronto with a 3-game lead over Tampa Bay. Baltimore, Rich, 54 and 51. They are having a fantastic year. Now, I know some people might say, how can you have a fantastic year when you're 3 games over 500 and you're 15 and a half out of first place? Well, just go back and check the record books on Baltimore the last couple of years. You'll see they're having a fantastic year. Boston's at 500, 53 and 53. Moving on to the AL Central, Rich. Minnesota hanging in there. 1-game lead, 55 and 49 over the Cleveland Guardians, who are at 54 and 50. Chicago White Sox are 2 back, 53 and 51. Detroit and Kansas City are literally out of the race. And in the West, it's Houston with again, they have 68 wins there, Rich. And they have got an 11-game lead over their closest competitor, Seattle, who is 57 and 49, 11 games back. And then there's Texas. Then there's everybody else. Texas, the Angels, and Oakland, all out of it pretty much. The Angels are probably the biggest disappointment right there because they were actually in first place early on in the season and just collapsed completely. So, as usual, not a very good run organization. They have the hitters, but they never have a rotation whatsoever. So, they've got to learn to put their money towards pitching and not so much towards offense, and maybe they'll get better.
Yeah, they have 2 juggernauts of players. Of course, Mike Trout and Ohtani. But that doesn't translate to playoffs, apparently. So it's a good lesson to learn. As you said, Gary, starting pitching. And they brought in Thor, but, for whatever reason, they're just not doing it. The LA Angels have been on the back burner, and I guess in horse racing, you would term those teams as the also ran bunch, They ran, so they didn't run very good. But let's take the National League now. I'll do that. The Mets with an impressive 66 and 38 record, 8 and 2 in their last 10. Not bad, Gary. As they they welcome back DeGrom and Scherzer back to the fold.
Yeah, and that includes 2 games over the Yankees and a sweep of Miami and 2 out of 3 against the Washington Nationals. So, big 5-game series starting tonight in New York. The Mets and the Atlanta Braves. Braves at 3.5 out. It's going to be a doozy.
Yes, it is. And the Phillies, they're sitting third at 10 games back, even 7 and 3 in their last 10. So they're sort of in the mix here, ready to make a run possibly. Over in the NL Central, it's the Milwaukee Brewers, 57 and 47, 10 games over. St. Louis still hanging tough. They're in a playoff spot still. As now that wild card seems to matter a little bit, though I don't start watching it till around September 1st. I still give August a chance to play out, and a lot of people started watching the wild card a month ago, which is insane, in my opinion.
Okay, I guess I'm insane then.
Well, I mean, just the movement that it's going to make from a month ago till September, October is dramatic. But anyway, St. Louis in second, Cincinnati a distant third. I guess they're pretty well out of it. But out in the West, it's the LA Dodgers, as we were talking about, with Vin Scully passing away. 71 and 33, 7-3 in their last 10, and as we said, they bolstered up for the playoffs a little bit, and are a powerhouse. Maybe it's going to be a series, coast to coast series this year, New York and L.A. Who knows? Or, and I didn't say the Mets or the Yankees, New York and L.A. Okay.
Well, it would have to be, if it's the World Series, it would have to be the Yankees, but because the Angels aren't going to make it, that's for sure. But your Phillies are actually in the last wild card spot by a half a game, so over the Cardinals. So that's going to be an interesting race to see It's sort of that other race out of the division, the wild card race, to see how the Cardinals and the Phillies do, and there'll be a lot of scoreboard watching. And San Francisco's there, but they're like 5.5 games back. So it's going to be an interesting race to see St. Louis fighting Milwaukee for the division, and they're also fighting Philadelphia, or could be Milwaukee in the wild card as well. So that is going to be an interesting race, and like I said, Mets want to hold on to that East. They want to get that first round bye. Any team, the first two teams, first two division winners, get the bye and go right to the LCS, I think it is, and they avoid the wild card and series, or the divisions, whatever they're calling it now. So, very important to win your division, and that's a good thing that they brought that back. Stressing it, and again, nobody wants to play. I would not want to play Atlanta or San Diego in a wild card matchup right now. And
No.
I think if the season ended today in the National League, it would be Milwaukee against Philadelphia and Atlanta and San Diego, and boy, that would be a series to watch, and almost a good series, because then they cancel out one. One of them that you don't want to play will be knocked out, and that'll be terrific. So,
Yeah.
for the other contenders, and in the American League, it would be Minnesota against Tampa Bay, and Toronto and Seattle, if I've got this right. So, I believe I do, but Minnesota would play Tampa Bay, and Toronto and Seattle would face off against one another in the first round of the playoffs if the season ended today. But like you said, a month and a half, 2 months left to go. Plenty of time, plenty of movement. Things can change drastically by then. So we shall see as we roll along.
Yes, and the season is certainly rolling along. Take time to take a pause and enjoy it, because we know, after the season, it's a long, long off season. So even though it's 95 degrees out and you don't want to go to a baseball game, or 92 with humidity, as it is all up and down the East Coast this weekend, get out there and smell the roses a little bit. Go out there and enjoy the game. If you don't stay the whole game, don't stay the whole game. But just to be out in that ballpark atmosphere is tremendous. I've taken in a few games this year. It's so great to get back. It's almost medicinal for me, sitting there in the stands a little bit. And even though it was 100 degrees the last game, and it was brutal, probably shouldn't have stayed the whole game, but We were gamers and we did, but get out there and take it all in, so to speak, because this season's going to be over before we know it.
Well, Rich, on my bucket list, I want to go to a game in 100 degrees because the last games that I've been going to, we froze our butts off.
Right,
So,
right.
I want to get to a hot game one time.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember those April games. You got to bring a blanket with you.
Yes, blanket and a parka.
Sure.
So,
some hats and gloves.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to go to a game in 100 degrees.
Yeah,
just to be reminded what it feels like, because it's been a number of years.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, I just want to share our website that you can come in and support the show if you want. It's anchor.fm/Baseball Talk Radio Show, which is all one word. And if you need a link, you can email me or Gary, rich@baseballtalkradio.com or gary@baseballtalkradio.com. We'll be glad to send you a link or answer your questions for it. There you can subscribe to the show, see where we are at different places: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Spotify, wherever you want to listen to great baseball talk shows or music, we're there. So you can find us there. But this is where you can support us. You just hit this little button right here, support, and then you can support us either $1 a month, $4.99, or $9.99, and we would appreciate it. So check it out, anchor.fm/Baseball Talk Radio Show. And Gary, it was a great time again. We streamed it live on Facebook. We have a lot of listens on Facebook, so please send us a comment, write us down, share us with your friends, and love bringing the show to you.
Yeah, and we'll do an edited version, and it'll be on YouTube too. So if you missed the live feed, well, then of course you won't hear me saying this. But anyway, you can always catch it on YouTube. So
Awesome.
Don't worry about that.
Awesome. And we'll say goodbye to our Facebook friends now and tell you all to have a great week. We'll be with you next week talking some more great baseball talk, everyone.